Ladies, let me tell you something that might surprise you. Men notice way more than you think. Quiet details, little habits, subtle gestures. And sometimes it's the things you don't even realize you're doing that leave the deepest impression. Today, I'm going to share 7 of those things. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll never look at your daily interactions the same way again. When you walk into a room, before a single word comes out of your mouth, before anyone knows your story or your background, people already have an impression of you. And the truth is, it's not about the clothes you're wearing or even your facial expressions. It's about the way you carry yourself, your posture, your presence, your energy. They all speak long before your voice does. Men in particular notice this immediately. They might not analyze it or articulate it, but they feel it. A woman who walks in with her shoulders back, chin up, and a quiet confidence radiating from her stands out without even trying. Carrying yourself isn't about faking something you're not. It's about how much you believe in yourself when nobody else is around. Men pick up on that. They see the difference between someone who is comfortable in her own skin and someone who is shrinking to make herself less noticeable. And ironically, when you try too hard to disappear, that gets noticed too. Confidence doesn't always mean being the loudest person in the room or demanding attention. Sometimes it's the exact opposite. It's being calm, grounded, and assured in who you are. Imagine 2 women walking into a coffee shop. One walks in hunched over, staring at her phone, rushing to the counter like she doesn't want to be seen. The other walks in upright, not in a boastful way, but simply present, aware of her surroundings, and moving with intention. Without realizing it, men and women both are drawn to the second. It's not because she's trying to impress anyone, but because her body language tells a story. She's comfortable being here. She's comfortable being herself. The way you carry yourself also communicates how you expect others to treat you. If you carry yourself like your time doesn't matter, like your opinions don't count, like you're waiting for permission to take up space, people will believe that. But when you carry yourself with quiet dignity, when your posture says, I respect myself, others can't help but respond to that. Men especially notice this because it tells them whether they're dealing with someone who values herself, someone who demands respect without saying a word. This doesn't mean being rigid or pretending to be perfect. Perfection isn't attractive, it's intimidating. What's magnetic is authenticity wrapped in confidence. If you trip, you laugh it off. If you're nervous, you own it instead of hiding it. That's the kind of presence that draws people in because it shows you're human, secure enough not to crumble over small imperfections. Carrying yourself with confidence also sets the tone in relationships. Men notice how you show up in your daily life because it hints at how you'll show up with them. Do you lead with insecurity, always needing reassurance? Or do you lead with assurance, knowing your value regardless of who's watching? Men notice when a woman respects herself enough not to settle, not to chase, not to beg for validation. They notice when you walk with purpose instead of waiting to be chosen. What you may not realize is that your body language and presence can inspire others as well. When you carry yourself with grace and confidence, you give silent permission for the people around you to do the same. That's powerful. And men don't just notice it, they remember it. A woman who radiates self-respect leaves an imprint that outlasts looks, outfits, or surface-level charm. So the next time you step into a room, remind yourself that you don't have to speak first to be noticed. The way you carry yourself already communicates who you are. It tells the world and every man in it that you know your worth. And once you believe that deeply, you won't just be noticed, you'll be unforgettable. There's something about laughter that goes beyond words, beyond appearance, beyond any effort to impress. It's raw, it's unfiltered, it's real. And when it's real, it's unforgettable. Men notice your authentic laugh more than you probably realize. Not the polite chuckle you let out to fill space, not the forced giggle you use when you're trying to be agreeable, but the genuine laugh that bursts out of you before you can control it. That sound, that expression of unguarded joy, has a way of catching attention and staying with someone long after the moment has passed. The beauty of authentic laughter is that it cannot be faked. You can try to mimic confidence. You can put on an outfit that gives the appearance of control, but laughter always betrays the truth. When you laugh deeply, your guard is down and people get a glimpse of who you really are. Men notice this because it shows them something rare, your spirit. It's not a performance. It's you being present in the moment and allowing joy to spill out without worrying about how it looks or sounds. That's magnetic in a way that no amount of careful planning can replicate. Think about it. When someone really laughs, it's contagious. It makes people around them smile without even knowing why. It creates connection instantly. Men may not always articulate it, but they feel the pull when they hear a woman laugh authentically. It tells them she's comfortable enough to let her happiness show, and that's both attractive and refreshing. The laugh that makes your eyes water, or the one that sneaks out as a snort, or the one that makes you bend over holding your stomach, those are the laughs that stick in people's memories. On the flip side, men can also notice when laughter isn't genuine. The short, polite laugh that doesn't quite reach the eyes, the one that feels like it's used to fill silence rather than express joy. While no one is wrong for doing that, we all do, it doesn't leave the same impression. Authentic laughter is effortless. It's proof that you're actually present, actually enjoying yourself, and not trying to manage anyone's perception of you. Men notice when a woman isn't afraid to let that part of herself show. Your authentic laugh also signals something deeper than just humor. It reveals confidence. Because to laugh freely, you have to let go of self-consciousness. You can't be overly worried about how you look, how you sound, or whether someone is judging you. You're too caught up in the moment to care. That level of freedom is rare, and men notice it because it suggests you don't live your life controlled by insecurity. It tells them you're the kind of person who can find joy even in small things, and that's a quality people want to be around. Laughter also builds bonds. Many men will tell you that one of the most memorable things about a woman they care for is the way she laughs. It becomes a sound they look forward to, a sign that she's happy, and in turn, it becomes linked to their own sense of happiness. Men might not always admit this, but they notice when they can make a woman laugh in a way that's unforced and natural. It's validation, but more importantly, it's intimacy. It's a window into whether the connection is real. What you may not realize is that your authentic laugh isn't just attractive, it's powerful. It changes the energy of a room, it relaxes tension, it softens walls. Men notice because laughter signals safety. If you can laugh freely, it means you feel secure enough in your environment to do so. And that kind of presence is irresistible. So don't hold it back. Don't shrink your joy because you're worried about being too loud, too silly, or too noticeable. Men notice when you laugh from a genuine place, and they remember it. Your laugh tells a story about who you are, someone alive, someone real, someone worth knowing. And in the end, it's often those unpolished, authentic moments that leave the deepest impression. It's easy to assume that people only notice the big gestures, the grand displays, or the loudest personalities. But in reality, the quiet, consistent, almost invisible actions often leave the deepest impact. Men especially notice the little acts of kindness that you may not even think twice about. These small moments speak volumes about who you are, and they leave impressions that last longer than any perfect photo, fancy outfit, or clever words. Think about holding a door for someone even when you didn't have to, or speaking to a waiter with respect instead of dismissiveness, or bending down to pick up something that someone else dropped. These aren't rehearsed behaviors, they're habits that come from character. And that's exactly why men notice them. They reveal who you are when there's no spotlight, no audience, and no expectation of reward. The truth is, kindness is never wasted, but it is always remembered. Even when you think nobody is watching, those little moments shape how people see you. Men notice when kindness comes naturally instead of being staged for attention. A woman who can treat the stranger on the street with dignity, who can smile at a child for no reason, who can be patient when others would lose their temper. that speaks to a deeper strength than anything surface level could ever show. What makes these acts so powerful is that they aren't about proving something. They're about presence. Men notice when you're mindful of the people around you instead of being lost in your own bubble. When you show kindness in the smallest of ways, it reveals that your empathy isn't selective. It's part of who you are. That kind of awareness is rare, and it draws people in without you having to try. Consider this: anyone can put on a performance for a short time. You can fake charm, you can fake confidence, even fake interest, but you cannot fake kindness over time. The small, everyday behaviors expose the truth. Men notice if your kindness is consistent, even when it's inconvenient. They notice when you choose patience instead of irritation, generosity instead of selfishness, humility instead of pride. These choices might seem invisible in the moment, but they are unforgettable in the long run. Another layer to this is how kindness translates into relationships. Men notice how you treat people who can't give you anything in return. If you're kind only to people who benefit you, that says something. But if your kindness shows up for strangers, employees, or even animals, that says something else entirely. It tells men that your compassion isn't conditional, and that makes you not only trustworthy, but deeply attractive on a human level. And here's the beautiful irony: the little acts of kindness you think are insignificant are often the very moments that stick in someone's memory. A man may forget what you wore or even some of what you said, but he will remember how you made others feel around you. He will remember if you spoke gently when others were harsh. He will remember if you paused to help when others walked past. Those impressions don't fade easily. Kindness also signals strength. Many people confuse kindness with weakness, but it's the opposite. It takes strength to remain kind in a world that often rewards selfishness and speed. Men notice when you choose to stay kind even when the situation doesn't demand it. That self-control, that compassion, that quiet dignity, it's rare and it sets you apart without you needing to compete. At the end of the day, little acts of kindness reveal the bigger picture of who you are. They show that your value isn't tied to attention or validation. It comes from within. Men notice that, and it leaves a lasting impression, because while beauty may catch an eye for a moment, kindness captures respect for a lifetime. And it's those small, everyday actions that prove character more than anything else ever could. The way you treat yourself sets the tone for how everyone else will treat you. Men notice this more than you may think, not because they're analyzing every little move you make, but because it naturally reveals your sense of value. You can tell the world who you are with your words, but your actions toward yourself always tell the truth. If you put yourself last, if you neglect your own needs, if you carry yourself like you don't matter, people pick up on that, men especially. On the other hand, when you respect yourself, when you set boundaries, when you care for your own body and mind, it speaks louder than anything you could say. Self-respect shows up in the smallest choices. Men notice if you say yes to everything because you're afraid of disappointing people, or if you protect your time like it matters. They notice if you settle for half-hearted treatment because you don't want to rock the boat, or if you draw a line because you know you deserve better. They notice if you constantly run yourself into the ground trying to meet everyone else's expectations, or if you create space for your own rest, your own peace, your own priorities. The way you treat yourself communicates silently, and it often determines how others approach you. Caring for yourself doesn't mean being selfish. It means recognizing that you can't pour into anyone else if your own cup is empty. Men notice when you show up whole instead of drained. They notice when you're confident enough to say no without apology. They notice when you've taken the time to invest in your health, your mind, your growth, not because you're chasing perfection, but because you value yourself enough not to neglect what matters. On the flip side, they also notice when you don't treat yourself well. If you constantly put yourself down, criticize your own appearance, or act like you're unworthy of love or respect, it leaves an impression. Men see when a woman doesn't recognize her own worth, and unfortunately, there are some who will take advantage of that. when you undervalue yourself, it signals that it's acceptable for others to undervalue you too. That's why treating yourself well isn't just about self-love. It's about setting the standard for how you expect to be treated by everyone around you. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect every day or that you need to walk around with unshakable confidence all the time. Real strength isn't about never doubting yourself. It's about refusing to live in those doubts. Men notice when you pick yourself up after failure instead of tearing yourself apart. They notice when you take responsibility for your growth instead of blaming the world. They notice when you treat yourself with patience instead of punishment. These choices may not feel flashy, but they leave lasting impressions. Men also notice how you speak about yourself. Do you talk about your goals with belief, or do you downplay everything you've achieved? Do you use humor to constantly tear yourself down, or do you allow yourself to celebrate wins, even the small ones? Words matter because they reveal mindset, and mindset always shapes the way you carry yourself. Treating yourself well also means being intentional with your relationships. Men notice if you allow toxic people to stay in your life, or if you protect your peace by walking away when necessary. They notice if you settle for breadcrumbs of attention, or if you hold out for someone who will show up fully. The choices you make about who gets access to you reflect how much you believe you're worth. At the end of the day, how you treat yourself is the foundation for everything else. Men notice when you love yourself enough to grow, respect yourself enough to set boundaries, and care for yourself enough to live with purpose. That kind of self-respect is magnetic. It draws the right people in and repels the wrong ones without you needing to fight for it. When you treat yourself well, you're not only telling the world who you are, you're reminding yourself every single day that you are worthy of respect, love, and the best life you can create. There is a reason people say the eyes are the window to the soul. You can tell someone 100 times that you're listening, but if your eyes are distracted, if they're darting to your phone or scanning the room, the words don't matter. Men notice this more than you realize. Your eyes in conversation say everything about your presence. They reveal if you're engaged, if you're interested, if you're genuine. And unlike words, your eyes don't lie. When you give someone your full attention, it's powerful. It makes the person you're speaking with feel seen in a way that is rare in today's world of constant distraction. Men notice when your eyes meet theirs and hold, not in a forced or intimidating way, but in a way that says, I'm here, I'm listening, and I value this moment. That presence is magnetic because it communicates respect without needing to say a single word. On the other hand, men also notice when your eyes say the opposite. If you're nodding along but clearly looking past them, if your gaze keeps sliding to your screen or to the next person in the room, it sends a message. It says, I'm not really here. That subtle disconnect is felt even when nothing is said out loud. People may not always be able to put it into words, but they can feel when your attention isn't truly with them. Your eyes also reveal emotion more clearly than any sentence ever could. Men notice if your eyes light up when you talk about something you love. They notice if they soften when you're empathetic or if they harden when you're upset. Authentic emotion shines through the eyes, and that's often what lingers in someone's memory long after a conversation ends. Words can fade, but the feeling of being truly seen or truly cared for is remembered. There's also a level of vulnerability in holding eye contact that makes it powerful. To look someone in the eye is to lower a wall. It communicates honesty, even courage, because you're not hiding behind distractions or fear. Men notice when you can stay present like that. It shows confidence, but it also shows that you're willing to connect on a deeper level than surface conversation. That kind of presence can disarm tension, build trust, and create intimacy without needing to be forced. At the same time, there's a balance. Eye contact doesn't mean staring someone down or trying to dominate a moment. Men notice when it feels natural, when you look at them because you're genuinely invested in what's happening, not because you're trying to prove anything. It's that authenticity that makes it so powerful. Forced intensity feels performative, but real engagement feels magnetic. And here's the truth. In a world where most people are half present, true attention is rare. Men remember the woman who listened with her eyes, who made them feel valued, who didn't treat conversation like a waiting game for her turn to speak. That kind of presence is unforgettable because it's so uncommon. The way you use your eyes in conversation also speaks to how you value connection. If you give someone your focus, even for a few minutes, it tells them that you respect them enough to be fully present. Men notice this because it signals maturity, self-confidence, and emotional intelligence, all qualities that go far beyond surface level attraction. At the end of the day, your eyes don't just notice, they communicate. They can encourage, they can reassure, they can challenge, and they can connect. Men notice when your eyes are locked in with sincerity because it makes them feel seen in a way that few experiences can. And in a world full of noise and distraction, that kind of presence is not just rare, it's unforgettable. Pressure is one of those moments that reveals the truth about a person. Anyone can seem calm, confident, and collected when everything is going their way. But the second life throws a curveball, the mask slips, and the real version shows up. Men notice how you handle those moments because pressure doesn't just expose your stress, it exposes your character. And often, it's not about whether you get everything right, but about how you carry yourself when things go wrong. When unexpected challenges hit, collapse under the weight, or do you pause, breathe, and find a way forward? Men pay attention to this because it shows resilience. They notice when you're able to stay steady instead of falling apart. That doesn't mean never crying, never feeling frustration, never showing emotion. It means you don't let those feelings dictate every action. There's a quiet strength in someone who can acknowledge the storm without becoming it. Imagine being in a difficult situation together. Travel plans go wrong, the car breaks down, or something stressful happens in public. Men notice how you respond in those small but telling moments. Do you lash out? Do you panic? Or do you adapt, stay calm, and look for solutions? The way you handle pressure says far more about you than how you act when everything is easy. And it's in those moments that respect is either built or lost. Men also notice the difference between perfection and grace under fire. Nobody expects someone to be flawless under pressure. What stands out is composure. If you can laugh a little when things fall apart, if you can steady yourself instead of spiraling, it reveals a depth of maturity. It shows that you understand life will never be perfect, and you've chosen to handle its imperfections with strength rather than fear. That's an attractive quality because it signals you're dependable. You won't crumble the second things get hard. On the flip side, men notice when pressure turns into blame or bitterness. If every problem is met with finger pointing, complaining, or shutting down, that leaves a strong impression too. It shows how you handle conflict, how you manage stress, and whether you can navigate challenges as a team. For many men, seeing how someone reacts in high-pressure situations is a clear indicator of what a long-term relationship might feel like. There's also something magnetic about calm confidence in the face of chaos. Men notice when you can take a breath before reacting, when you can respond with thought instead of impulse. That doesn't mean you never struggle, but it does mean you don't let the struggle define you. And that ability to keep your footing when things feel shaky is deeply respected. Handling pressure well also communicates self-control. Men notice when you can keep perspective, when you don't let temporary frustration destroy an entire moment. It tells them you can see the bigger picture, that you're strong enough to separate emotion from action. That level of awareness is rare, and it makes you stand out without having to try. But here's the thing, men don't just notice how you handle your own pressure, they notice how you treat others under pressure. Do you take stress out on the people around you, or do you remain considerate even when things are difficult? That's the difference between someone who crumbles and someone who grows stronger in the fire. Kindness under stress speaks volumes about character, and men remember it. At the end of the day, pressure is unavoidable. Life will test you. Things will go wrong. What matters is how you carry yourself through it. Men notice when you handle pressure with grace, with resilience, and with strength. They notice when you don't let circumstances steal your composure. And those moments often say more about you than all the polished, easy moments combined. Because how you handle pressure doesn't just show who you are, it shows who you'll always be when life